This episode is brought to you by SmartVestor. Connect with an investing pro near you at RamseySolutions.com/SmartVestor.
John is in California. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm great, Dave. How are you guys doing?
Better than we deserve. How can we help?
Well, I give you a little background. My wife and I are both retired, and we're struggling and trying to decide what we would like to do with what we've accumulated over our lifetime, and specifically your viewpoint in regards to IRA conversions to Roth. Just to give you a few numbers, we've got about $500,000 in liquid mutual funds and bank account, and we've got about $4 million in IRA accounts. $1 million of that is already in a Roth, and $3 million is in a traditional IRA. And I've been looking at a bunch of numbers and reading a bunch of things, and what I'm trying to decide on is it better for us to try to do some conversions between now and when we reach R&D at age 73, which is about 7 years from now, or just let our traditional IRA grow? And my concern is that if I just let it grow during our lifetime, the R&Ds are going to be 6-digit numbers.
Yep.
This is not money we need to live on. We live in our means on just fixed income and have been able to, accumulate a lot and not spend anything. And so now I just don't want to make a mistake with what we've been blessed to accumulate.
Good
so
for
I'm
you.
curious what your viewpoints are about paying, what I calculated to be about 1.2 or 3 million over the next 5 or 6 years doing step conversions to Roth, or just letting, our 3 adult children inherit multi-millions in a traditional IRA someday.
Honestly, the answer to your question, I stumbled into backwards. I was not smart enough to do it on purpose, but I accidentally did a brilliant thing, to be very clear. And the brilliant thing was that early on, I converted everything to Roth. You and I are the same age. I'm getting ready to be 65, okay? And everything is in Roth. And the reason that ends up, I did it just because I wanted the tax-free growth. That's simple.
Right.
That's the only reason I did it. And so I started converting stuff many years ago, and anytime anything popped up that was traditional, I immediately made it into Roth. Now, the result is exactly what you're facing, and you've analyzed this very well. You've done a good job. You have 2 problems with the traditional that are mammoth. Problem number 1 is the RMDs. The required minimum distribution is what that stands for. For those of you that don't know, John does. And that means at 73, they require you to begin to distribute traditional because they are bent on getting their taxes. And so they make you take that has never been taxed yet and that is not tax-free and begin to distribute it. And as you said, with $3 million, it's going to be over $100,000. And so that $100,000 comes out, it's 100% taxable, and so it's going to be reduced by 37% or whatever the number is, 30%, whatever it ends up being, depending on what your other incomes are. Yeah, that's problem number 1, is you're forced into RMDs. You do not have RMDs, as John knows, on Roth. And so I don't have any required minimum distributions facing me when I hit 73. The second problem is that the traditional IRA or traditional 401k, when it becomes an inherited IRA, naming your child as the beneficiary, it goes to them or your wife, and then later your child is a secondary beneficiary, however that works out. When they get that money under the Biden Secure Act, they are now required to liquidate that fund and pay taxes on all of it over a 10-year period of time. So $300,000 a year on $3 million. Oh, by the way, it's not going to be $3 million. It's going to be $9 million because you're going to live a while. Okay, and you're not touching it. And
I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
That's
so
exactly
those are the
what
two.
I'm concerned
those
about.
are the 2 problems, and so that makes me. It's pay me now, pay me a lot more later, is the equation, and so I'm going to start working out of this pretty quickly. I'm going to use a substantial part of that $500K in mutual funds and after-tax investments over there, and I'm going to use that and move as much of the $3 million as I can this year.
Right.
And then I'm going to, as much as I, and then I'm going to use the $3 million. What's left, I'm going to pay taxes out of it as I do it each year, and it's going to be a lesser amount when the smoke clears because of the stinking taxes. And then it's going to grow completely tax-free from then on, not be subject to RMDs. You're back in control of your nest egg. The stinking government's not their meat hooks in you, and they don't get to hook your kid in the next generation when you leave it to them. So you leave in a Roth IRA, tax-free. They can cash it out that day, the day you die, and they pay no taxes on it. And so, because here's the thing, you're sitting on $4 million, $3 million in this thing. And if it's in good mutual funds, and you're by the time you hit RMDs, it's going to be $6 million. It will have doubled. And right. 7 years later, when you're 80, and if you're in good health, your probability of living to 80 from 65 is very high, statistically. Okay, so then that $6 million is going to be $12 million. And if it's all sitting there, hasn't paid taxes on it yet, except for the RMD portion, it's going to be substantial taxes. So.
Yeah.
In terms of dollars. So it sucks right now, but it's going to triple suck later. I would do it.
Yeah, you're telling me what I was hoping you were going to tell me. My wife isn't on the same page because she doesn't get excited about paying,
Well, you want to pay taxes on 12 million or 3?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's just a matter of when you're going to do it. Somebody's going to do it someday. And if you guys don't use this money and it's invested at an average of 10%, it's going to double every 7 years. And so you're going to get hammered.
Like the last caller, changing the family tree and the next generation.
You already have changed your family tree, by the way. You guys have done great. I assume you started with nothing.
Yeah, we're everyday millionaires.
Yeah.
Long-time listeners, first-time caller for you. But my wife's a retired teacher and I'm a retired CPA. So
I love it.
We've been doing this for a long time. 2 of the
top 5 categories of people who become millionaires: teachers and accountants.
Yeah,
of the top 5.
Didn't inherit anything.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. You guys are incredible. You've done a good analysis on it, John. You did have your facts straight. You know what you're talking about. You're just trying to think it through. And if I woke up in your shoes, I would use the majority of that 500 today, and that would move about 2 million of the 3 out, and then the other $1 million that's laying there, I'm going to chunk it out over about 3 years and just take the hit, take the pain, and then be done with it. And
is there a limit for how much you can convert per year?
Nope.
You just got to can do it all.
Gotta pay the taxes.
But the taxes are
pay
all
the taxes,
due.
And he's got so much, he's going to have bracket creep anyway. He's going to max it out every year anyway. So there's no way to avoid his bracket creep. So there's no way to stage it actually that makes sense. So I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off, and it sucks. But welcome to tax law.